My name is Susan Rogers, and I currently teach at Berklee College of Music in the departments of music production and engineering, and I also teach in liberal arts. I'm a PhD in psychoacoustics and cognitive psychology. But prior to my academic career, I was a recording engineer and record producer for 22 years. My first job was with a company called Audio Industries. They're no longer there. They were out in Hollywood, California, and I was a service technician for MCI consoles and tape machines. I did studio installations, and I would go to studios to repair their consoles or their tape machines. But it wasn't until I was hired for Crosby, Stills and Nash in 1981 that I first saw how studios actually operate, because I was usually in them when they weren't functional. Right. So Stephen Stills at that time had an Eventide digital delay. He could not do a session without it. And this is 1980. So he had scratched out the lettering on the Eventide digital delay, so it said, "Even I dig a lay," which I assume a lot of guys back in those days probably did. And he called it the gizmo, and he loved that thing, and it had to be there. So I was the studio maintenance tech. I didn't work with it musically all that much, but I knew that this must be important because Stephen had to have it, and that thing just had to be there. I would repair it occasionally. One night, I think my next job after that was with Prince, so I don't remember. I was with Prince from 1983 to 1988, and we had a lot of equipment, and we were buying a lot more because we were building Paisley Park Studios, and we were on the road, and I had to have my Eventide harmonizer, and I had to have my delays. That was essential, and there were really only two pieces of equipment I had to have throughout my career, and that was the Eventide H3000 and then an API 560 graphic. I could do without anything else, but I really couldn't work unless I had those tools. But anyway, sometimes things would break, and I'd be there in Minneapolis all by myself. I was hired as Prince's technician. I became his engineer. And I remember one night late, I called Eventide, and Richard was there. And Richard and I just talked for a long time. And I remember thinking, what a great company, what a great guy. And I was, bear in mind at that time, I was in my 20s. I was young. I had this job with incredible responsibility, but I was doing my best to be up to the demands of this job. I was with Prince from Purple Rain through Sign of the Times and the Black Album, and so, he was on top. He was on fire then, and I was his tech until we hired the great Sal Greco. But, I had a lot of responsibilities. Anyway, Richard was always there, and his attitude and his approach to audio was a huge influence on me. I'm sure he doesn't realize it, but he was that perfect blend of just rock and roll artistry with deep technical knowledge and skills. And he embodied that in one human being. And he was actually a role model for me. I aimed for that. The other thing he would do, you knew he was cool because you'd go to the Eventide booth at AES, and you'd talk to him, and then you'd go, "Richard, where's the chocolate?" And he'd reach under, and there'd be the box, and there'd be these chocolate bars, reverb so sweet you can taste it and all that. So today, I was in the music business until 2000, and then I left to go, I entered college as a freshman and got my PhD. But now I'm at Berklee, and I teach my students about your company, and I teach them about the company's philosophy, and I teach them, you guys, this is a thing, if you're working, you're going to need this. You're going to have this. And if you don't have it as a plug-in or hardware, you're going to have to fake it. But this is what this does. I think the name, the brand, the company, the people are fantastic, and I don't think that you guys are going to lose your luster as we progress. I think as soon as the next generation finds your tools, they'll love them the way our generation did.
Fantastic.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
Effects so sweet.
Oh, and more chocolate. I'm going to save it for the children.